Hello, everybody. Welcome to Environmental Podcast.
Yeah, we are Ob and Courtney from Dandelion Branding and Living Brand Directory. This is where we deep dive into different aspects of sustainability and we talk about it really conversationally to make it more fun.
Yes. And we are so excited to be joined by Paige Schult today from Topanga IO. And we're so excited to hear more about this incredible company and all of the innovative technology that you've got going on. So thank you so much for being here.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. Excited to chat with you guys.
Yes, we are so excited. So, okay, let's just get started. Can you tell us a little bit about what Topanga is?
Absolutely. So Topanga is building digital infrastructure for the circular economy. That's obviously a mouthful. We'll unpack that in the coming minutes, I'm sure. But we are helping companies make the switch from single-use packaging to reusable packaging. So really focused on systems where we can eliminate waste that doesn't need to exist, and really optimize that from both an environmental perspective as well as an economic perspective. There's a lot of cost savings opportunity with reuse, and we're all about that.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, it's such an incredible mission because that's like the biggest problem, right?
Yeah.
And to come up with such an innovative solution. So can you kind of walk us through how it works a little bit?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think before maybe talking into the depths of how it works, it might be helpful to paint a picture of how we got here.
Okay.
Because we weren't always a software company. So we actually started as a milkman style grocery delivery market. So
Okay.
we were packaging products from local farmers in reusable glass containers and glass bottles, delivering it to customers' doorsteps, picking up the empties and washing them in our warehouse, getting them ready to recirculate, right? And that was really, okay, every week we buy, say, spinach and cold brew and hummus. And every week that packaging ends up in the waste bin or in recycling, where it's ultimately still going to the landfill, giving recycling rates in the US. And so we wanted to challenge that head on and challenge the trash can with those habitual items. Then it was through operating our market where we realized that, okay, this is great. People love this. Consumers are really engaged with reuse. There's a big opportunity to push that forward. But operationally, for our business to run, we needed technology to help us manage the reusable inventory and communications with customers that, hey, rather than throw this away, you've got to return this and all of that good stuff. So long way to get to your question, but that's kind of how we started.
Yeah. Okay. And when did you first start?
So that was about a year and a half ago. So yeah, we're new on the scene here. And then it was in October of last year that we really wanted to focus full time on the software. Our ultimate goal there is to make as big of an impact as we can on challenging single use. And we realized we could probably do that better by helping a lot of other businesses through our software versus trying to go at it alone and compete for customers.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, that makes perfect sense because you're kind of setting up the framework for how any business could just use your software and get started with the program.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
Rad. Wow. I mean, I love that we're kind of getting back to the like milkman style of consumer behavior, I guess.
Oh no, it's been interesting to, even just see the way that conversations have evolved since we first started. I think, even a year and a half ago when we were first having conversations with brands or, investors or just people out in the world, it was, okay, if this happens, right? If this really happens. And now it's when it happens. And I mean, yeah, Ob, I'm sure you've seen overseas, EU is so far ahead of the US in terms of this type of thinking and consumption.
Yeah, but not as far ahead as you would imagine that we
Okay,
portray it to be. Like there's a very high recycling rate in the Netherlands, which is super cool, but
Mhm.
we still rely a lot on that. So and actually to find something like that is part of the circular economy and packaging has been a bit
Mhm.
challenging because everyone's
Interesting.
like, but they do such a good job recycling. They like come by, it's already split up, why do we care?
Yeah.
Um, so it's kind of like a blessing and a curse. We're like, we don't have a problem. Yeah, you do.
Mhm.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah, yeah. How, um, okay, so you're full-time on software, and so does the software help create the Milkman style for other brands?
Yeah. So now we can get back to the real question I detracted us from,
Okay.
which was the how does it work?
How does it work?
Okay.
So yes, we are enterprise grade software. It's really centered around an API, but we also have kind of a suite of code-free products. The goal of
Cool.
that kind of being we can meet any business where they're at. If it's a kind of mature meal prep delivery company and they have a full team of engineers in-house, well, then they can plug in and build a custom solution. If it's a
Yeah.
smaller 5-chain coffee shop that wants to switch to reuse, well, they don't need to build a custom technology platform. They can just plug into this code-free suite of products. And then how it works is I'll walk you through kind of a coffee shop example so it's tangible. So basically, from the get-go of a partnership, we would talk to the coffee shop, and we have a partner network of packaging manufacturers and third-party dishwasher providers and things of that nature. So we can really come in and say, hey, do you have reusable cups that you want to use? Or are you looking to procure new ones? Do you want them to be branded? Do you want them to not be? Do you have a dishwasher to wash them? Do you want to outsource that, right? That's kind of the intake part at a start of a project. And a member of our team is really completely focused on service design and what does this kind of physical element of switching to reuse mean for your business operations. So we're really expertise in laying a strong foundation. And then from there, once we're ready to launch, we will start you off on the software. So all the reusable packaging that we work with is a lot like a library book. So each piece of packaging has a unique code or a unique QR code, unique RFID code that says, hey, this is 12-ounce cup number 22. And how it works is the customer goes into the coffee shop or orders ahead. They say they want to pick up their pick up their order in a reusable cup. The barista sees that on kind of the ordering system and makes their latte or whatever it is in a reusable cup. And then when they're ready to hand it off to the customer, you scan the QR code or the RFID on the cup, and then you scan the customer's reuse ID, right? That's again akin to the library card. So basically, as a customer, you're checking out this reusable piece of packaging. And then from there, you enjoy your latte, your cappuccino in this nice reusable cup. It's better than a paper cup. It keeps things warm for longer. You feel cool walking around with it, you name it. And then you see on kind of either it's, a standalone app that again will kind of provide an interface for if you're the one-off coffee shop, or if you're a larger brand and you have your own existing customer app, it lives in there. You'll see exactly, okay, I have two 12-ounce cups that I've checked out that I need to return in the next 7 days. And if I do that, I'll get $1 off my next order. So that's one piece of the software, is having it be super clear for the customer what action they need to take and what's expected of them. Again, that gets down to this kind of shift in consumer behavior. How can we provide the guardrails to make that helpful? And then from the business's perspective, what they see is kind of an operator dashboard. So that's another piece of our product suite. So again, it's that scan app, it's the consumer facing piece. And then last but not least is this dashboard. And that's really the brain of any reusables program that allows you to see how much inventory you have on hand, when you're expected to get these cups returned, how many customers have checked out items, all that good, juicy data that we help you unlock through our program. And yeah, then customers return the cups at the coffee shop. They're cleaned and rinsed and recirculated.
So
Wow, that's really cool.
Yeah, there's a lot to unpack there, I'm sure, but the really
it's like a built-in loyalty program and rewards program too. Like there's so many opportunities for like customer engagement in that process, right? To like you were saying, give a discount if they bring it back early or something, or by the due date or whatever it may be.
Yeah, that's one piece I think that's interesting too when you're thinking about sustainability. Like it's gotten a lot of lip service in the past couple of years as brands and want to appeal to consumers by, having some sort of green element. But when you think about reuse, well, it actually then you're walking around town with this like branded cup, you're a walking advertisement. And also then you have an asset that the brand owns that you have to go back and return, right?
Yep.
So the opportunity to like drive repeat customers is really built in a lot of ways.
Totally.
100%. I'm curious about like, I don't know. And we live and operate in the sustainability industry, and I'm still having a hard time with, let's say, Whole Foods has like you go to the grocery store and then you get their hot bar.
Mm-hmm.
It seems like a really good solution there because they can set up a scanner, you can scan it. You do have to have your own app or what have you for this, but okay, it's an app.
Yeah.
And then somebody just like has this packaging. Somehow there seems to be like there could be a lot of loss happening in there in that space. And you had talked about guardrails, and what does that look like in terms of like just keeping people on this track?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think there definitely is an opportunity for loss, which of course is something that we want to mitigate at every step in the process. And I think it really speaks to our higher goal and approach to kind of solving this big macro problem is really looking at this from a systems design perspective and saying, okay, this is, Courtney, as you mentioned, like this touches so many roles within an organization. It's supply chain, it's marketing, it's loyalty, it's the customer, like it's so much. So in Whole Foods versus a coffee shop, the elements to mitigate that loss are going to be different, right? They're going to need a slightly different approach to solving the problem. But one thing that we found in some of the pilots that we've done to date is even just by providing that kind of accountability to the customer, that helps return rates so much because it's not just like, okay, like I know I have to return this, but no one's reminding me, right? Then it's easy to forget. It actually kind of provides like, okay, no, you bought into this system, right? You intentionally, you scanned this, you took this action, you chose reuse, and now you need to kind of participate. I think, of course, there's also the carrot and the stick, right? So carrot being you get $1 off your next purchase, but the stick being is if you don't return this in 7 days or 14 days, then you might get charged $4, right? Okay. So being able to set that up is something we've been super intentional about. And we spent a lot of time doing user research around deposit models, which are pretty prevalent today, where you buy a glass jar, and you pay 50 cents up front. If you return it, you get that back. Well, a lot of times having that kind of payment up front is often seen as a sunk cost by customers. So they're like, oh, okay, I could get 25, 50 cents back, but I could also toss it in the recycling bin. That's a lot easier for me. Having the kind of deferred payment or the loyalty rewards element on the back end really encourages that next step of action. And so, yeah, there is loss. We're not perfect, but we are proud to say that we've seen 90% return rates from the programs that we've done to date. And that's measured. Each of those returns is data backed and measured. It's not an estimation, which is also something that's really important to us. Yeah.
Right.
Wow.
Well, yeah, you run this software, you're like, here's your dashboard and here's your return rate on this dashboard. Is there a certain type of, okay, so money off like a next purchase? Is there another like really good reward that you see people like really enjoy?
Yeah, honestly, we're still in like very much incubating, like what is the most appealing element to get you bought into this. And I think it'll be super interesting to see how that evolves, especially as, we hope and as we'd love to see this kind of consumer behavior of reuse becomes more normalized. I always think that experiential, like cool, exclusive farm to table dinner or something like that could be a huge opportunity given the right brand. So
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of potential for like cool. It's kind of, yeah, you could even kind of make it like an exclusive club group of customers that you kind of give some additional rewards to give additional incentives for them to join. There's a
yeah,
lot of potential there. That's really exciting.
it's interesting too because one of our customer segments is colleges and universities, and so I think there's kind of a real community opportunity where you have certain kind of student groups who are there's a leaderboard, and certain student groups or certain dorms are trying to challenge how many times they've reused, right? It really creates this kind of community engagement around impact.
Yeah.
That also is such a good age to like grab people to like make it a habit, and you can turn it into like a fun like habit for people to get your dad involved, get your your
Yeah,
friends involved, and that seems fun.
totally. Just like build that behavior, and then you
Yeah,
graduate and you're in the real world and you expect the same thing to exist.
right. I feel like that's a really big leap. It could be a really big step of like, well, in my university we did this, I graduated, I went into the world, and the hell my like it's totally different. But I feel like our generation, that happened to us a lot, uh
Mm-hmm.
like pretty intensely, and we kind of stepped into a pretty very serious climate change situation, and that's now happening again. There's
Mm-hmm.
going to be a recession again, and as people graduate they're going to be like, this is not what I expected. I
Yeah,
want the future that I was promised, and I'm going to build it. So it's
yeah,
really, it feels like that's like so many of the businesses and the folks that we talk to have that experience where they're like, it's different than what I was promised. I have to I have to be the person that creates that
yeah.
promise.
Absolutely. I do think there's been this kind of shift in mindsets of okay, if it's not me, who is it going to be? Because something needs to change. So
Yep.
Wow. I mean, so how can a business get involved? Are you currently kind of like onboarding folks, or how does that
yeah,
work?
absolutely. So yes, we're currently onboarding customers. We're operating globally. We're software, so we can support you no matter where you're at. Definitely encourage you to reach out at any stage in this kind of sustainable packaging journey. Again, a big part of what we do up front is gather insights about kind of your operations, what you've done to date, what level of curious are you? Are you just trying to get smart and sell this into your boss? Have you actively explored this a bit? Are you ready to pilot and go? And depending on where you're at in that journey, then we'll come to you with a couple different things. I think two elements that are really big for us as part of this onboarding journey is one, understanding the environmental ROI. So in a lot of scenarios, reuse does win out as kind of the superior environmental execution, but it doesn't in all scenarios. There's certain ones where actually a super recyclable type of packaging is better than reuse, and we're pretty upfront with you about what's going to be the best solution. So that's first, and then secondarily is this kind of economic ROI analysis that we'll go through with your team, because again, we want to make sure that this is a good business decision, because reuse is only as sustainable as people continue to buy into the system, right? So if it's not a good business decision and if it's not a good environmental decision, then we'll refer you to some partners who might be better able to suit you and help you achieve your goals. If it is both of those things and it meets your goals, well then let's do this, and we'll start going through the process.
That's cool. So you have a process for like, this is a good economic choice for your brand, and here's why, and you like can share that information with brands.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll walk you through it. We'll get some of your data firsthand, like on what packaging you're procuring today, what you want to switch from single use to reuse. We'll run that through our calculator and get into the details.
Awesome.
That's really cool. I see that you have like pet food, beauty, travel. I'm also like looking at actually, I do want to say that concerts and events is probably my favorite thing on here, because one of the things that bothers me the most about the Netherlands, they're doing better now, just in the past couple of years of living here, is that at events, the culture is to drink your drink and like throw it on the ground.
Interesting.
They hire people to come afterwards and clean it.
So you can just throw it.
They just go like, whatever.
Yeah.
I can't get my head around it. I really don't like that. But I think something like this would be such an incredible incentive. And you start to kind of see it happening like in like sustainably focused more concert halls. They have kind of trade stuff. This would be really cool. But
yeah. It's cool. Sorry,
okay.
Go.
No.
I was just going to say, in the concert environment too, right? You think of this reuse ID that we spoke to earlier. Well, if you have a ticket to get into the show, that could function as your reuse ID. So you don't have to go through hoops to participate. It's really like you got into the show on it, now use it to get your cup.
Yeah, that's cool. Wow. That's really cool. The other question I have is like, right now you're using, I guess, grocery store delivery and meal prep. I'm thinking about like a brand that has products in grocery stores all around the US. I have a specific brand in mind, but how would that kind of be the same thing? Because it seems like it really kind of needs to be a right there service agreement that you're opting into. It wouldn't be something you would buy on the shelf.
Yeah, and that gets to like the broader point of kind of the short-term executions versus what requires a bit more of that service design and operational piece up front. I think when you're talking about like meal prep and grocery delivery, like that reusable tote to deliver something to your doorstep, or meal prep and kind of warehouse fulfillment where things are fulfilled in a warehouse and then delivered in your doorstep, that's super easy, relatively speaking, to switch to reuse, because it's all kind of happening behind the scenes. When you start to get into grocery stores, we're in some early conversations with some CPG brands who sell into grocery stores, and then there's just more stakeholders involved. And there is, to your point, there's kind of a different level of opt-in, because it might be, okay, I want to buy my favorite dish soap, which is offered in a reusable container at the store, but then I'm also buying crackers, which are not in a reusable container. So then you kind of have this mixed bag of packaging, and the owner of the packaging is ultimately that brand, but you bought it from the store. So you're absolutely right. It does get more convoluted. But at the end of the day, the goals remain, and there still is a big opportunity to both track and trace reusable packaging and measure the impact, as well as to create a system that works. So it's not an answer. What we're working through right now with this brand is you would really kind of be a member, like your reuse ID would be with that store that you purchased it from. And then you would be able to see, I bought hand soap brand A in your kind of traceability account page. And then the rewards would be tied to next time you purchase that hand soap, right? You get $1 off through that store. So there's kind of two stakeholders that you're participating with. But yeah,
that's cool.
It's exciting because even though that's, there's so much to think of in that type of execution, the stores and the brands are interested and are starting to think through it. So it's exciting to see that. Yeah.
I guess the thing would be like, if a brand, like we work with a lot of brands, right? So if a brand is like super into it, but they sell in a store and the store is into it. What if a consumer sees the brand, wants to buy it, but doesn't want to be a part of the reuse program? That loss has to fall on the brand or the store or in some way. That's kind of like, I think that would be kind of scary for the brands like in this scenario. And I mean, I don't know if you have a solution, if you're thinking about it, or how you combat that.
Yeah, definitely. I agree with that. And I think that I don't have a solution. I think the short term is still that there's a lot of testing that needs to be done. Like, I don't think that there's a brand who we could in good confidence recommend switch to 100% reusable on shelf today, right? Because there still needs to be some understanding of what's the majority of that consumer base going to feel towards this. So I think it's incremental. Yeah.
Okay. That's great.
Test and learn, test and learn.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's the only way.
Yeah. Move forward, test and learn.
Cool.
So cool. I really like your website too, by the way. I think it's really, really nicely done.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that.
It's on top is nice.
I appreciate that. It's been a labor of love.
Wow. A lot to think about, but it's just, yeah, it must be really exciting to be able to kind of like get to talk to all of these brands that are so interested to kind of start a program like this and be able to problem solve and like create a really kind of custom tailored solution for their exact needs. I think that that's so cool that you guys can kind of really help them walk through the process of kind of getting started.
Yeah, it's been super exciting. I think my personal background is in marketing and consumer insights. So just like the personal learning and hearing what people are thinking about is so fascinating. But I think also too, a big way that we've positioned ourselves is, okay, yes, we're software, that's our expertise, but in order to be successful, we have a lot of other partners that we'll bring in, again, that packaging manufacturer, that dishwasher. And so to be able to also have the conversations with those people and to make introductions for successful, sustainable programs, whatever they might be, is satisfying in its own right.
Yeah. Sounds really fun, actually.
Yeah,
it's good. I love it.
Yeah, and it seems like it's so it'd be easy for a brand to just like be able to opt in. Like when we've worked with consumer brands like prior, they had consumers interested in creating a system like this, but like that at that time, this was probably, I don't know, 2014 or something. They were trying to kind of figure out all the logistics themselves, like each the brand, right? And so like that creates a whole lot of individual businesses trying to figure out the logistics of how to do this when that's just a whole mess. So to be able to just kind of create a solution that they can just jump into
it's definitely like, I think really needed, and you're definitely filling a need in, I would say, the beauty industry. It's listed here, but that's a huge one. Sustainable beauty. Wow.
Yeah.
I've honestly, this has been a problem not a problem, but a question. And we've gotten this question before from clients, even as recently as earlier this year. I wish we had known about Topanga then. But I can honestly say this is the first time I've ever seen something like this. Nice. I feel like it's like a really fleshed out plan.
Yeah. I think we are one of the first. I think what we have truly on our side is that we were operators. We tried to do this ourselves. And so we had to go through the experience of learning where the gaps were to make something, an idea, into a reality. And so, love the market, even though we're not running it anymore. That's been the greatest help in our journey. And if there's ever any brands, even if they're, thinking about compostable packaging or just getting started, again, like, we're here to have a conversation, even if it might be years until you're ready for our software.
Yeah, for sure. We'll be like, talk to Paige.
Yeah.
The thing that we, help consult on sometimes of like, what should our packaging look like? What should be made out of? What should it feel like? Because we do operate in the sustainability industry. So this is so cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very great resource to have it in our back pocket to be able to recommend. It's so needed. Gosh, yeah. I want to go to like all of my local coffee shops and tell them about you.
Same.
Great. Do it. Spread the word.
Yeah. Wow. Awesome. Oh my goodness. It's just, very, very cool. So gosh, I mean, how can folks find you if they want to learn more, get involved?
Yeah, great question. Website for sure is a good place to start, topanga.io. And then also happy to share my personal email. Again, we'll chat with anybody. It's just Paige@topanga.io. We have some blog content we're starting to put out too that speaks to different industries and different parts of the sustainability journey. So hope that will prove helpful as well.
Yes.
Fantastic. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you guys. This has been awesome. I love what you guys are doing, and hope to chat again soon.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you guys for watching.
Thanks everyone for watching.
Thanks all. Bye.